Namaste. It was June of 2009 and I was in Birdi. Birdi is a small town about 40 kilometers outside of Bangalore in South India. And I had just arrived there from the San Francisco Bay Area to do a 3-month program with Swami Nithyananda at his ashram. The program was called Life Bliss Engineering. In fact, just the month before, I met Swamiji in the San Francisco Bay Area. He was doing a tour of North America. The tour was called the Yogam Tour. And I met him and I was so drawn to him that I literally felt like I needed to see him again. And I learned about this program. So 2 weeks after meeting him for the first time, I was in Birdi doing a 3-month course there. So one of the interesting things that happened rather early, in fact in the first week itself, is that Swamiji started talking about changing your name to a spiritual name. He was offering to give people a spiritual name if they wanted it. And the motivation for that was changing your name to a spiritual name is a way to really accelerate your transformation. It's a way to give yourself a new identity. And what Swamiji said was the name that was given to us by our parents was a societal name, whereas a name that was given by an enlightened master really was from at a cosmic plane. It was from up to a plane of consciousness and was about our being. And one of the things he shared was that our names are much, much more important than we realize. In fact, our name is like a peg on which we hang different aspects of our personality. So one way to really kind of start afresh with a new identity is to start with a new name, is to have a new name. And so you can completely drop everything associated, all aspects of your personality associated with your old name. And so it's a well-known psychological technique. It's a transformational tool, and it's been used for a very long time. Swami himself was always known as Swami. He was never called by the name he was given by his parents. And we also have the example of Osho. Osho, when he first started on his mission, he was called Acharya Rajneesh, and then later on he changed his name to Bhagwan, and then in the final years of his life he changed his name again to Osho. So when Swamiji shared about taking on a spiritual name, he also mentioned about how he would come up with a name. Essentially, because he would have the opportunity to spend some time with us and have a chance to see us, he would essentially meditate on us and then come up with the name. And the interesting part was that the name itself would actually be the path. The meaning of the name would be our path. It would be not only our path, but also a meditation. We could meditate on that because the name was what we were looking to grow into, to embody what that name meant. So, like I said, when I heard that, I was very excited. It was one of those things that instantly I knew it was right for me. I knew I was going to go for the name change. And another interesting thing was that as soon as I decided that I was going to go for the name change, I suddenly started tiring of my existing name. It just felt like my name had run out of gas. And interestingly enough, I never ever felt the need to check with anybody, in this case with my mom, because she was one of my parents who had named me, as to what if that was okay, or to just inform them, which later on actually ended up creating a bit of a problem. I won't go into it here. So the one caveat that Swami did have was that if we requested a spiritual name, then we would be required to legally change our name to our spiritual name within a year. And so what that meant was that the new spiritual name, we would have to use it not just with our friends, but really in every area of our life, in all our documents, our passport. And so basically that name would be something we would use everywhere. Now, of our group of about 110 people who were there for the 3 months, only about 15 to 20 of us actually requested the spiritual name. So it showed that not everybody really was ready for that kind of makeover, or that kind of change. And the name itself was only given towards the end of the program. So essentially we were waiting through the entire program, and then a week, when it was a week away from us having to finish and leave, that our names just, it came to us. I was looking at it, and my new name was Kripanidhi Nithya. And Kripanidhi means merciful heart. So that it was quite a discovery for me to know that my path really was to develop a merciful heart. And the other interesting thing is that Kripanidhi is also one of the names by which Lord Shiva is known. So kind of when I got that name, it kind of was very different from my existing name. It was very long and very traditional name, and I didn't quite know what to make of it, but I was definitely excited. And so when the program was over, when I left Nidhi, I didn't just leave with the transformation I got from the program, but I also left with a new name, which was a harbinger of a new identity that I was going to be crafting from that point on. So there you have it. That's how I got my new name. Namaste.